You'd think I would have read a book over 412 pages earlier than college. But in my defense, I never was a big reader. I read all the books my high school assigned, and the books everybody has to read. But none of those were exceptionally long. And if they were, I must have just listened to the audiobook instead of reading. It wasn't until my freshman year of college, in my advanced English course, that I read my first book over 412 pages. The Iliad. I probably would have skimmed it, or better yet, spark noted it. But our teacher required deep annotations for the entire book. I was already dangerously close to failing 3 of my 4 other classes. As those of you who have read the Iliad know, it's just about the driest read there is. With all the flowery old language and rhyming schemes, I was about to fall asleep one night as I read it, until I turned from page 412 to 413. The formatting of the entire book, a slim column of rhyme down the left side, gave way to a new format, a single quatrain in the middle of the page. 4 lines. Tabitha, oh Tabitha, what have you done with school? You've been too lax and treated it like a big parade. C's and D's are all you have. Try harder in the next year. But for now, worry not. We will fix your grades. My first reaction was that this was some joke. I must have mentioned my dismal grades to my English teacher, and he'd inserted this page with my name on it, Tabitha, as a joke. It wasn't especially funny, but can you expect English teachers to be? No offense. Actually, kinda offense. I dog-eared the page, and brought it into class the next day just to ask. Yeah? He asked when I approached him. The name is Camille, correct? Tabitha, actually. And I found the page. What? Page 413, I said. I found it. It was, pretty funny. Though, how'd you find out about my grades? And how'd you get the printer to put that page in the book? I'm sorry, he said, wiping down the board. What are we talking about? Page 413. I flipped open the Iliad. See, right... But it wasn't there. Where the page had been the night before was a normal Iliad column of text, the real page 413. Yeah, it was weird, but at the time I only scratched my head, wondered for a few days, then stuck the book into a storage bin. Forgotten in time. Unimportant. The next day, the one after reading page 413, realizing I should probably try and salvage my grades this semester, I looked online, ready for my dismal C's and D's. When I opened my report, my mouth dropped open. This couldn't be right. Why was every class showing an A? How? When I reported it to the office, because yes, I am an honest person, the front lady just looked confused and told me, "You must be mistaken. Your grades have been this way all semester. There's no error." Somehow, some way, my grades had all been saved. The next semester, I figured out how to do school better. I managed to maintain B's and A's by myself, by actually putting in the work. The sacrifice was a lot less time to meet people and hang out. It was okay at first, but after a few weeks, I started to feel really lonely. Like, really lonely. My sister Lorianne, who was probably my best friend, was nice, but I needed somebody besides family. The next book I read over 412 pages was for a philosophy class. We read Les Miserables, abridged, don't worry, throughout the course of the semester. It, to this day, is still the longest book I've ever read, and from the beginning, I vowed I wouldn't skip any of it. That was why I had almost failed last semester, by letting the little things go and slacking off. Once again, I flipped from page 412 to page 413. Once again was the familiar 4 lines. Tabitha, oh Tabitha, we hear you now are lonely. There is no one with your precious time to spend. We care deeply for you. That's the reason why. We will search the whole earth to find you a boyfriend. Again, I wanted to laugh off the page, but this time it was harder. Could one of my roommates be doing this somehow? What about Lorianne? She lived in the dorms only a block or 2 away from me. But somehow that didn't seem likely. I rifled through my box of old school things, found the Iliad, and sure enough, the only page I had dog-eared was 413. I went back to Les Miserables to read the quatrain again, but the page was gone. The regular page was back in place. This was weird. What was even weirder was that the day after, as I was eating dinner, a boy walked into my house, claiming to be my boyfriend, coming for a weekly Wednesday chick flick night. For a few minutes, I resisted, telling him he was crazy and to get out. But the entire time, it was obvious he thought I was joking. When he finally rolled his eyes and forced me to hand over my phone, I couldn't believe what was in my pictures album. Dozens and dozens of pictures of me and him, holding hands, kissing. I had a boyfriend just like page 413 promised. The one that after a few days of spending time with, I realized was perfect. We had been dating for 6 months. It would only take an idiot to not notice the trend, even if it had only been 2 times. I rushed to the library the second I realized it, and piled possibly every book over 500 pages into my bag. At my dorm, I flipped through them to page 413. Each book was normal though. No poem to improve my life. No wonderful 4 lines. Maybe I had been wrong. Or maybe it was 'cause I hadn't read the whole book. I took all the books back to the library and checked out the 5th Harry Potter book. My hands trembled on page 411. I let my whole body shake on page 412. And on page 413, like I knew it would be, was my prize. The poem told me I was a singer. At first this was laughable, as I literally made a tortured cat sound like an angel. But sure enough, Lorianne called me the next day, asking why I wasn't at my concert in the school auditorium. Nerve-wracking at first? Yes. But the second I forced myself onto the stage that night, my voice was Sia on steroids. Apparently, I even had a record deal with a minor music company. But of course, I did. I've been a singer my whole life. Now. The next book I picked up was it. I only read the first 413 pages of it. The next morning I looked in the mirror, and I was more beautiful than any girl on any magazine cover. Even my previously taken selfies adopted this amazing new me that had always been my face. The next book was East of Eden. And when I put it down, my parents called me to tell me about the cruise we'd booked for the summer. They told me it was the week we always took our cruises, the ones they bought with their millions of dollars. Popularity came next. Everybody loved me. Intelligence soon after. There wasn't a single fact I could forget. Then my adoring fans, who wouldn't send me fan mail after the numerous movies I've been in. Page 413 gave me everything. Maybe it was tweaking the details of my past. But so what? This was the way things had always been, right? Page 413 was my savior. I should have been happy. I should have stopped. Little clues should have tipped me off that my run was up, but I was too drunken with the boon of books. I kept going and going and going. I remember the night it happened. I was on my bed, reading my own 500-page biography. I know, big, but with how many accomplishments I had. When I got to page 413 again, this is the poem that appeared. Tabitha, oh Tabitha, you have it all now, don't you? We gave you gifts, we gave you love, we even gave you fame. But we are lonely, so lonely. We want something too. So we will take just one small thing. Her name is Lorianne. I was smart enough to understand. I whipped out my phone and scoured my contacts for my sister, Lorianne. It wouldn't come up. No. Where was it? That was fine. I knew her number by memory. Lorianne, I cried when she picked up the phone. Gosh, am I relieved that you picked up. Are you okay? Is everything... Hello? Said the person. Lorianne? Sorry, I think you have the wrong number. There's no Lorianne here. They hung up. No. I couldn't move. Cold took over every part of my body. Maybe if I tried it again. I did. Same person. Mom and Dad would know. I called them. They said I'd never had a sister. I was an only child. Every picture of her was gone. Every footprint she'd left on the beach was vanished. For a week, I just moped. Why had page 413 taken something away? It never had done that before. In the end, I burned my autobiography, but nothing changed. Everything page 413 gave me was final. Everything it took away must be final too. Before I wish, I'd stopped. But this is where I know I should have stopped. I knew it back then, even as I picked up another volume and began to read. Can I really blame myself, though? I was distraught. Anything, even the slightest thing, with the possibility of getting my sister back, was a completely logical option in my mind. And reaching page 413 just one more time was the only thing I could think of. Maybe it had given me one bad thing, but it could fix it. I knew it. I hoped I did. When I got to page 413, this time there were only 2 lines. They didn't rhyme. They weren't even typed. They were scribbled out in barely legible handwriting like a maniac, intent only on getting their message across. Tabitha, you idiot. You never know when to stop. We will take it back. All of it. Everything else. I blinked. I closed the book. I reopened it. The words were gone. So was my $1 million home. It took me a moment to realize where I was, but even then, it didn't completely make sense. You would assume I'd be back in my apartment with my crappy old life again, failing my classes and plain-faced. But I wasn't. Instead, I ended up underneath some bridge with moss growing at my feet and puddles of brown water. Inside, my hope curdled. Why was I here? Was I homeless? And why was I wearing these disgusting, disgusting clothes? Wait a second. I realized then why I felt so weighed down. Protruding in front of me, no, protruding out of me, was a disgusting fatty stomach. I was huge. More than that, I was insanely obese. But how? Somehow, despite realizing I had probably always been homeless, my smartphone was still in my pocket. Page 413 wanted me to have it for a reason. Swishing through my Pictures tab, after seeing my now hideous face to the screen, I realized why. Lorianne still was not in my phone, nor was the boyfriend I'd ended up marrying, nor was my parents. Everybody I'd ever loved was gone. A car passed the bridge overhead. I only heard the whooshing of it through my left ear, just barely. I looked to my left, out from under the bridge, and saw what must be the sun, though I hadn't realized it was day. Everything looked dark. I could just barely see. When I tried to scream, nothing came out. Page 413 had left me with only the barest senses I needed to survive. No fame, no beauty, no boyfriend, no Lorianne, no parents, no house, no life, nothing. That was a year ago, the last time I read a book longer than 412 pages. I'm writing this from a library computer, even though the workers gave me judging looks when I waddled in. Surrounded by books that I know could still make my life worse. I just need anyone who reads this to know the dangers of reading page 413. No matter what it might give you, no matter what you think you will gain, if you see those 4 quatrain lines, skip the page for the rest of your life. There's another reason I'm in this library. I managed to steal some glasses from an elderly patron here, and after I post this, I think I might go try and read another book. I know I shouldn't. I've learned my lesson. My life is ruined. But what if? What else can page 413 take from me? Could it possibly decide to show its old benevolence? I don't know, but I have to find out. I've heard War and Peace is a good book. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments below, and tell me what you thought of this narration. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates, and if you'd like to get early videos, shoutouts, and much more, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. It's a place where you can help support my channel while getting awesome rewards in the process, and every pledge helps out a ton, no matter the size. So if you'd like to see all the rewards I offer and consider becoming a patron, it'd mean a ton to me if you'd click the link in the description and just check it out. And don't forget to show some love to the amazingly talented authors who make these narrations possible. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.